I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. People hire me for no BS job search advice and career coaching globally because I make the process much easier for people. Now, there's an article on HBR.org, HarvardBusinessReview.org, called 15 Rules for Negotiating a Job Offer. I think some of the points are really good, and some of them are mediocre or bad, to be honest with you. So I want to go through the 15 points with you and give you my impression. The first one, which I agree with wholeheartedly, but not their examples. Don't underestimate the importance of likability. Whether you're a senior leader or a junior member that they're considering hiring, it's important that they like you, that they can connect with you, they can feel you, and not just accept that you have certain knowledge. People go more to bat for individuals who they like than those who are just, competent. So don't just zero in on competence as part of your messaging. Focus on the connection with them, because that's going to make the difference. Number two is help them understand why you deserve what you're requesting. I think most people come across as being whiny when they do that. It's begging. And your goal is during the interview process, be a little hard to get in the course of the salary discussions, especially with HR, because they're negotiating from the first time they're asking you what you're looking for, and they're going to use whatever you say to their advantage. How much are you looking for? I'm looking between this and that. And you don't know enough about the job really to come in with a specific price. But most people cave in and tell them a range. Instead, tell them, I need to know a little bit more about the position, because all I know is what I've read. I haven't met my future boss. I haven't met the team, don't have a clear sense of what my role and responsibilities will be or what the expectations for me will be. Can we come back to that later on? And they push and you cave in. Stick with that theme. And in doing so, you can also say, if you push me, I'll give you a number, but I'm not committed to it. So can you accept the idea that we're going to talk about this after I know more? I think that's a better way of approaching it. Number three, make it clear they can get you. I'm not completely sure about this. I think you want to have a little bit of hard to get along the way, just like in dating. And you don't want to have sex too early. So yes, you can make it clear that they can get you, but it has to be under the right conditions. If you just make it clear, I really want to come to work for you, and you're that obvious about it, without pulling back from it, they're not going to take your negotiations seriously. And I know that from having negotiated so many hires as a recruiter. I learned pretty early on that my clients, if they felt that the candidate, that the person that they wanted to hire was going to be easy to get, they didn't negotiate. They just basically said, we're going to make you an offer. Here are the choices. Leave it and take it. And they really didn't negotiate. But make them fall in love, and then they're willing to negotiate, because they don't want to come back to a hiring manager as an HR individual and say, we couldn't get them. They wanted $5,000 more. Give them the $5,000. I've spent more interviewing people than the freaking $5,000. So you're better off doing a little bit of hard to get and not making it so obvious that they can get you. Next, understand the person across the table. People negotiate, not companies. And before you can influence the person sitting opposite you, you have to understand he or she. What are their interests and individual concerns? Are you negotiating with a prospective boss or with HR? I gave the example just now of the HR negotiation and also the hiring manager response to it. You want to pick up along the way on what's important to them and how you can leverage that to your benefit. 5, understand their constraints. Now, they may have certain ironclad constraints, the article says, such as salary caps that no amount of negotiation can loosen. The better you understand the constraints, the more likely it is you'll be able to propose options that solve both sides' problems. I don't fully believe that. I think sometimes firms will tell you about what's better for them, but there's flexibility. For example, the sign-on bonus in lieu of salary. And can they talk in terms of, if I perform well, what my raise is going to be, what kind of upside is there for me? Can I get restricted stock units? What else can I do that's going to leverage my experience in this role? Be prepared for tough questions is number 6. Of course, but the kind of questions they seem to be talking about are standard interview questions designed to put you on the defensive, make you feel uncomfortable, or expose your weaknesses. Your goal is to answer honestly without looking like an unattractive candidate, which to me is really about the interview, not about the negotiation. Focus on the questioner's intent, not the question. The intent is always to try and get you to accept less money. That's easy. The question is they're trying to find the lever that's going to help them win the negotiation and look good to their boss. Remember, their whole goal, whether they're an HR or as a hiring manager, is to look good. And in doing so, solve a problem and do it for less money. Or do it quickly and throw more money at it. So the idea of focusing on their intent, I've simplified it. You know what the intention is. They're trying to get you for less money or get you on board fast. Consider the whole deal as number 8. Yes, you should consider the entire package. And they give the examples of responsibility, location, travel, flexibility, and work hours. But all this stuff doesn't really pay your bills. So this is the kind of thing that managers say when they're trying to persuade you to accept less money. Consider the whole deal and the opportunity we're giving you. Yes, and they'd also fire you at the drop of a hat if they're not making money. And if you can't afford to live on what you're being paid, no amount of consider the whole deal is going to make sense for you. Forget this one. Negotiate multiple issues simultaneously, not seriously, is number 9. If someone makes you an offer and you're legitimately concerned about parts of it, you're usually better off proposing all your changes at once. Here I disagree completely, because I think you go for the easy ones first and then you go for the harder ones later on. Get some concessions early, get some wins early, because if you start with just throwing everything on the table, often they walk away saying this person's going to be a problem and they just want too much out of this. So I think you're always better off building a momentum because they become invested in bringing you on board. So get some easy wins first, then go to a really hard one, knowing what it is you'd be willing to accept with that hard one, then back down to something easier, then to a hard one. You get my point here. Next, don't negotiate just to negotiate. Resist the temptation to prove you're a great negotiator. Can't agree more here. All you're doing is wasting your time and theirs and sacrificing psychic capital that will hurt you once you're on board. Think through the timing of offers. That's number 11. Now, the timing of offers here is, if you get an offer too soon, they want a decision and you've got other things going on. So have all your offers arrive close together is ideal, but don't be afraid to slow down the process with one potential employer or to speed it up with another in order to have all your options laid out at one time. Easier said than done. Deals have a way of building momentum, and if you slow it down, you may lose because they bring in a competitor because they sense you're slowing it down, and you wind up losing everything. Be careful about that one. 12, avoid, ignore, or downplay ultimatums. Couldn't agree more. Now, I think you need to be aware of them because they may need to make a decision because they'll lose budget. They may wind up in a situation where they're afraid of losing another candidate, so they want you to move forward more quickly, and thus just be aware and also know whether you're prepared to lose that offer because of timing. So if they're giving an ultimatum, I need a decision by Thursday at 4 o'clock, they mean it. You better have something for them by Thursday at 4 o'clock, including, I have a few more questions. Well, this is the way the offer is going to be, and you have to make a decision. Leave it, take it. We're not changing anything. You've got choices to make. And they may include negotiating right then and there, in which case they may respond by saying, I've been really clear. We're not changing anything. And then you have a decision to make. 13, they're not out to get you. I think this is one of the hardest things for people to accept because they personalize everything. There's a great line in the movie The Godfather where Marlon Brando has been shot, and the sons, Sonny and Michael, are kidding because Michael wants to get even, and Sonny, and Michael's always been the nice one, and Sonny's been the rough guy. So there's a line where Michael looks up and says, "This isn't personal, it's business." And that's the way it is. It's business, it's not personal. This is a fun one, number 14. Stay at the table. Now, they use the example of what's not negotiable today may be negotiable tomorrow. BS. What you want to be doing is always winning concessions, but if you put down a marker or an ultimatum, then they know that they can walk away from the table. You need to stay and hang in there and listen for little signals that they may give you for wedges that you can open up and get what you want. Lastly, maintain a sense of perspective. You can negotiate like a pro and still lose out of in the negotiation if you're negotiating the wrong thing. Ultimately, your satisfaction hinges less on getting the negotiation right and more on getting the job right. I've got to call out, this is a manager's perspective. I'm here to help you as the job hunter get what you want. You have to use your relationship with the person that you're negotiating with and hang in there. And when they start saying no, recognizing that and figuring out whether this is a job that you would expect under these conditions. And you can pause at that point and say, I think we're at a temporary impasse. I'd like to circle back with you in an hour. Can we do that? Now they may say, no, let's hang in there. I said, I'm starting to get personal. I feel that I can't be objective. And I want to pull back a little bit in order to see where we can make this work. Please hang in there with me. I'll be in touch in 1 hour. Does that time work? No, I've got a meeting at that time. When are you free? And you have that conversation so you can return to the table just like a union negotiator does with attorneys and get to where you want to get to. Hope you found this helpful. I'm Jeff Altman. My website is thebiggamehunter.us. That's where I've got everything, but where I have it simplified and have coaching available for you is at JobSearch.Community. If you go there at JobSearch.Community, I've got free stuff there. Plus, if you become an insider, I've got great video courses, books, and guides available to you, and I've got a list of them on the homepage. And if you have questions about job search, you can ask them and I'll respond, usually within 24 hours. If you become an Insider Plus member, in addition to all of that, you can get me on a couple of Zoom calls a month and we can have conversations and move things forward. And if you become an Insider Premium member, it's one-on-one or group coaching several times a month. It's much more substantial. Hope you have a terrific day. Oh, by the way, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Be great.